Dr. Ilara Webb had never been the type to follow the crowd. As a brilliant but often overlooked astrophysicist, she worked at the fringes of human space exploration, on the edges of the galaxy, studying things most scientists had written off as impossible or too far-fetched. Her colleagues saw her as an idealist, someone more interested in dreaming about what humanity could be than in the practical realities of space science. But Ilara knew something her peers didn't. They just hadn't found their place in the stars yet. Ilara's current project was one she'd been quietly obsessed with for years. While others were content studying the more conventional aspects of space, the stars, planets, and even alien species, Ilara had focused on the ancient and long forgotten. It was on a research station known as Aegis, located on the outer rim of the galaxy, that she made her discovery. Aegis orbited a mysterious planet, Xanthor, which had been found several decades ago, but had always been kept off limits for deeper exploration due to its strange nature. The planet was home to the remnants of a race known only as the Q-Tara, a civilization that had once ruled vast sections of the galaxy but vanished without a trace. Despite their disappearance, the Q-Tara's technology remained. It was far beyond anything humanity had ever encountered. The complexity of their systems was something humanity had only begun to scratch the surface of. Some had believed that the Q-Tara had simply been ahead of their time, their technology too advanced for any other species to understand. But Ilara suspected there was more to it than that. There had to be a reason why they disappeared, and Ilara was determined to uncover it. She couldn't afford to let humanity remain in the shadows of the galaxy forever, viewed by the other species as little more than primitive apes. Every day on Aegis, Ilara worked tirelessly, combing through ancient Q-Tara ruins and studying what little had survived the eons. It wasn't easy. Humanity had struggled to decode even the most basic aspects of Q-Tara technology. The databanks were corrupted, the machinery too complex, the language incomprehensible. But she kept pushing forward, driven by a single goal: reverse engineer Q-Tara technology to give humanity an edge in the growing galactic power struggle. There was something waiting to be unlocked, and Ilara believed that humanity could be the ones to do it. One day, while deep in the ruins of Xanthor's surface, Ilara found something that sent a chill down her spine. It was a small, unassuming artifact, partially buried beneath layers of dust and time. The object was smooth, metallic, and unlike anything she had ever seen. At first, she thought it was just another broken piece of machinery, but as she touched it, the artifact began to hum softly, and lights flickered to life along its surface. The sensation was almost alive. Ilara couldn't explain it. The artifact began to pulse with a strange energy, and to Ilara's astonishment, a voice spoke to her. It was not a voice in the traditional sense, but more like a thought, a telepathic message. The voice, calm yet imposing, identified itself as Asarath, a sentient piece of Q-Tara technology. "Human," the voice said, resonating deep within Ilara's mind, "I have waited. You were the first to awaken me in millennia. I offer you a choice, one that will alter the course of your people's destiny. Access to Q-Tara's greatest weapon, the power to rewrite the balance of the galaxy itself." Ilara froze, her heart racing. The greatest weapon? What could it possibly mean? Was it some kind of doomsday device or something far more insidious? She had read the theories. Of course, the Q-Tara were rumored to have possessed unimaginable power. But no one truly knew what they had created or why their civilization had vanished. Now, this artifact was offering her something that could either make or break humanity's future. Sarath continued, its voice clear but unsettling. "Be warned, human. To wield such power is to invite consequences. The galaxy has not seen such force in eons. You may change the course of your civilization, but not without cost." The Q-Tara learned this lesson too late. Ilara's mind raced as she processed the information. This was what she had been searching for all along, but it wasn't what she had expected. She thought she was looking for answers about the Q-Tara, about their rise and fall, not a weapon of unimaginable power. Could humanity really handle this? Could she? For a moment, Ilara's scientific curiosity almost overtook her caution. What if humanity could be the rulers of the galaxy? What if this was her chance to finally prove the worth of the human race? But then the warning echoed in her mind again. The Q Tara learned this lesson too late. The artifact's offer hung in the air. Could she take it? Or was she stepping into a trap designed by the Q Tara themselves? She had already risked so much for this discovery. Did she dare continue? With a deep breath, Alara made her decision. She couldn't ignore this. Not now. The fate of humanity might depend on what she did next. As she activated the artifact and began to decode its secrets, a sense of dread washed over her. The greater question wasn't whether humanity was ready for this technology. It was whether they could survive what came next. As she worked, the weight of the decision grew heavier. What she had stumbled upon could change everything or destroy it all. Would she, the once overlooked scientist, be the one to unlock humanity's true potential, or would she be the one to destroy it all? The days that followed Alara's discovery felt like a blur, each moment consumed by the intricate task of deciphering the secrets within Zarath. At first, she was driven by a scientific fervor, eager to crack the enigma and unlock the full potential of Q-Tara technology. But as she spent more time with the artifact, something unsettling began to unfold. The artifact's interface, once cryptic and seemingly impenetrable, slowly started revealing its hidden layers. What Alara had initially believed was simply an advanced piece of alien technology was far more complex than she had imagined. It was, in fact, a safeguard and ancient defense system built by the Q-Tara to protect the galaxy from the very technology they had created. The deeper Alara went, the more she began to understand the Q-Tara had not simply disappeared. They had vanished because they understood something fundamental. The power they wielded was too great for any one species to possess. It wasn't just a weapon, it was a key to shifting the entire balance of the galaxy, and the Q-Tara had buried it to prevent any race from accessing it. Alara's discovery made her question everything she thought she knew. The more she uncovered, the clearer it became that the Q-Tara had left these safeguards in place for a reason. The power to rewrite the galaxy's destiny could easily be used to destroy it, as they had once almost done themselves. And now, she was standing on the precipice of something far bigger than she had anticipated. But as her understanding deepened, Alara realized that time was running out. The High Galactic Council, the ruling body of the most powerful alien races in the galaxy, had become aware of her progress. The word was out, and they were concerned. Until now, humanity had been little more than a curiosity, primitive, underdeveloped, and far from a threat to the established order. But now, as Alara's work began to attract the attention of the Council, the stakes were higher than ever. What had been a quiet exploration had suddenly turned into a race against time, as the galactic elites feared the consequences of humanity unlocking Q-Tara technology. Alara felt the weight of their gaze, the eyes of beings who had seen civilizations rise and fall, who had calculated the risks of each species' rise to power. The humans, once seen as nothing more than primitive apes, were now a threat, a race capable of using the greatest technology the galaxy had ever known. The High Galactic Council was not prepared to let this go unchallenged. It wasn't long before Alara received an unexpected communication, a direct message from Commander Calix, a high-ranking officer of the Ilther Dominion, one of the most powerful and hostile empires in the galaxy. The Ilther had been at odds with humanity for decades, their mistrust and animosity well documented. Calix's message was simple but chilling. Alara had two choices. Work with the Ilther to unlock the Q-Tara weapon for our purposes. Calix's voice crackled through the comms, or face the consequences. Humanity cannot be allowed to control such power. You are not yet ready for what you are dealing with. The cold threat was clear. Calix made it known that the Ilther wanted the technology for themselves, to maintain their dominance in the galaxy. The Ilther believed that humanity should remain weak and insignificant species, unable to challenge the delicate balance of power. They saw Alara's breakthrough as a chance to use humanity as pawns, ensuring their empire's unchallenged rule. The proposition was tempting. Alara knew that cooperating with the Ilther could result in unimaginable power for humanity. It could give them the edge they needed to ensure their place in the galaxy to no longer be seen as a primitive race. The technology offered them a chance to rise above the status quo, to rewrite history. But even as the idea of wielding such power lingered in her mind, Alara couldn't shake the growing suspicion that the Ilthur had their own agenda. They weren't interested in helping humanity. They were using her, manipulating her to further their own ends. She had learned enough about the Ilthur strategies to know that they would not stop at using humanity's newfound strength for their own gain. If the Ilthur got their hands on the Q-Tara weapon, it wouldn't just be a shift in the balance of power, it would be an inevitable conquest. The Ilthur would control the galaxy, and humanity would be nothing more than an extension of their empire. The galaxy's future would be shaped by one race, and that race would not be human. The decision gnawed at Alara. Should she give in to the Ilthur's demands, securing humanity's future in exchange for becoming mere pawns in someone else's game? Or should she continue to pursue her mission on her own, risking galactic war to keep the technology in humanity's hands? Could she trust herself to make the right choice when the consequences were so dire? The deeper she delved into Exarath's knowledge, the more she began to see the destructive potential of the technology. The Q-Tara had left it hidden for a reason, and now she understood why. If humanity succeeded in harnessing the weapon's power, it wasn't just the Ilthur who could threaten the galaxy, it was humanity itself. The temptation of godlike power was real, and Alara felt the weight of it pressing on her. Could humanity resist the urge to dominate once they had the means to do so? Or would they, like the Q-Tara, be consumed by their own creations? Alara spent sleepless nights pacing the research station's cold metal floors, torn between her desire to see humanity rise and the fear of what they might become. The idea of controlling such power was intoxicating. She could imagine humanity leading the galaxy, not as pawns but as rulers, a force to be reckoned with. But at what cost? If they gave in to the Ilthur, they would be forever enslaved to their empire. But if she kept the weapon for humanity, could they avoid the same mistakes the Q-Tara had made? Was she willing to risk it all for the future of her people? Her thoughts were interrupted by another message, this time from Exarath. The artifact's voice was calm, but it held a warning Alara couldn't ignore. Human, Zareth said, you have a choice. But know this, power corrupts. It is not a gift. It is a burden. Do not let the same fate that befell the Q-Tara fall upon your species. The weight of the decision was now more apparent than ever. The future of humanity and the galaxy was hanging in the balance. Alara's world unraveled as the deeper secrets of the Q-Tara weapon surfaced. At first, she had believed that the weapon was simply a tool for conquest, an ancient artifact of unimaginable power that, in the wrong hands, could rewrite the fate of the galaxy. But as she unearthed more of the artifact's true nature, the terrifying truth struck her like a thunderclap. The Q-Tara didn't disappear by accident. They had destroyed themselves not out of a lack of will or power, but because they understood the dangers of what they had created. The weapon was not designed to conquer, it was designed to erase. The Q-Tara had created a failsafe, an apocalyptic device capable of collapsing entire star systems. A weapon capable of not just wiping out entire civilizations, but obliterating all traces of them. It was not a tool for victory, but a weapon for galactic annihilation, intended to prevent any species from ever wielding its power. Alara's stomach churned with the enormity of her discovery. She had been so focused on the potential of the Q-Tara technology that she had failed to see the dark truth buried within it. The more she decoded the artifact's encrypted messages, the clearer it became. The Q-Tara had wiped themselves out because they had no other choice. They had feared the weapon's destructive potential, the kind of destructive power that could swallow entire galaxies. The civilization that once ruled the stars had realized too late that they were no longer its masters. The weapon's sole purpose had been to ensure that no one would ever have the ability to use it. This realization left Alara shaken to her core. She had believed in the idea that humanity, with its potential and ingenuity, could use this technology to elevate itself, to stand among the galaxy's great powers. But what if humanity wasn't ready? What if the Q-Tara were right? What if the greatest gift they could offer humanity was not the weapon itself, but the warning they had left behind? What if the true power of the Q-Tara weapon wasn't in its ability to conquer, but in its ability to erase entire civilizations from existence? The weight of the decision that now lay before her was unbearable. The galaxy, fragile and imperfect, was teetering on the brink of a catastrophe, and Allura realized that humanity was on the edge of making the same mistakes the Q-Tara had made. She had to stop this before it was too late. Before humanity, driven by ambition and pride, found itself trapped in the same cycle of destruction. Allura made a choice. She had to dismantle the weapon. She could no longer allow herself to entertain the idea of wielding such power. It was too dangerous, and humanity was too young, too flawed, to control something so perilous. The dream of elevating humanity to the top of the galactic hierarchy was no longer worth the risk. It was a dream built on the hope that humanity could be different, that they could avoid the mistakes of those who came before them. But Allura had learned the hard way that some things were simply too dangerous to touch. No matter how powerful the promise, her team scrambled to prepare the device to disable the Q-Tara weapon. Allura's heart raced with fear and regret. She had come so far, invested so much into this discovery, only to find that the greatest truth was one she hadn't wanted to face. The knowledge that humanity wasn't ready for such a weapon cut deeper than anything she could have imagined. But just as they were about to activate the shutdown sequence, everything changed. Commander Calyx arrived. The man who had once extended a hand to Allura, pretending to be an ally, now revealed his true colors. His voice was cold, ruthless, his face twisted with ambition. "You really think you can stop this, Allura?" He sneered. "This weapon is more than just a tool. It is the key to our ultimate dominance. With it, we can reshape the galaxy." The horror of what Calyx was proposing took Allura's breath away. He had been playing her the entire time, manipulating her to get closer to the weapon. The Ilthur Dominion had never been interested in cooperation, they wanted control. The Ilthur were determined to use the weapon to impose their reign over the entire galaxy. Humanity's rise wasn't a step toward independence, but rather a pawn in their vast empire-building plan. Calyx's betrayal was a dagger to her heart. She had trusted him, believed in the possibility of a future where cooperation between species could lead to peace. But it was all a lie. Calyx didn't want peace. He wanted domination, and humanity was nothing more than a tool for his grand conquest. In that moment, Allura knew she couldn't let this happen. Calyx couldn't be allowed to have the weapon. The galaxy had suffered under the rule of empires before, and the Ilthur were no different. The weapon had to be destroyed, no matter the cost. With a heart full of resolve, Allura made the most difficult decision of her life. She activated the shutdown sequence, not just to stop the weapon, but to destroy it completely. It was a final, irreversible step. The energy core of the artifact began to power down, its systems beginning to disassemble. But as it did, something unexpected happened. A surge of energy erupted from the artifact, a final, desperate resistance from Exarath. The split second before it all collapsed, Allura heard Exarath's voice, quiet, almost sorrowful. "Human," the sentient artifact whispered, "this was always meant to be your choice. You were never meant to wield it. But know this, you have done what even the Q-Tara could not do. You have destroyed what could have consumed your kind. I have no regret for this choice." And then, with a final, heartbreaking silence, Zarath was gone. The sentient artifact, which had guided her, which had become her companion in this journey, was destroyed, obliterated in the same moment the weapon was dismantled. Allura stood there, staring at the now empty space where Exarath had been, a part of her broken and lost. The weight of her decision settled heavily on her shoulders. The galaxy was safe for now. Humanity had been spared from the potential destruction that had wiped out the Q-Tara, but at a terrible cost. The dream she had once held of humanity standing at the forefront of the galaxy, of rewriting their fate with the power of the Q-Tara weapon, was gone. The price of that power was too great. But even in her sorrow, Allura knew one thing with certainty. Humanity's future would not be shaped by a weapon, it would be shaped by the choices they made, by the wisdom they gained, and by the strength they found in rejecting the easy path of domination. The true test was just beginning, and the burden of what she had destroyed would never leave her. The destruction of Exarath and the weapon it guarded left a void not only in Allura's heart, but in the galaxy itself. Humanity had come so close to possessing a force capable of reshaping their place in the stars, only to watch it crumble to dust. The power to change everything, to demand respect from the galaxy's oldest and most powerful civilizations, was lost, gone forever. But with that loss came an uneasy peace. The High Galactic Council, that once viewed humanity as little more than a nuisance, was forced to reassess its stance. Alara's decision to destroy the weapon had prevented a potential intergalactic war, but it had also exposed a fundamental truth about humanity's place in the cosmos. Humanity was still vulnerable. The Council, despite reluctantly acknowledging the potential that humanity had, saw them not as a threat but as a wild card, one that had the ability to both destroy and create in equal measure. There was no respect, yet only caution, an acknowledgement that humanity's next steps would determine their future. Alara had secured peace for now, but she had also made the galaxy aware of humanity's dangerous potential. As a result, humanity found itself at the center of a new Cold War. The Ilthur Dominion, incensed by their failure to seize control of the Q-Terra weapon, now seeing humanity as a rival to their long-held dominance. This was not an open conflict, but the tension between the two species was palpable. Alliances shifted, whispers spread through the galactic corridors, and the galaxy's political landscape grew even more fraught with uncertainty. Humanity had gained a fragile foothold in the galactic order, but Alara knew it was not yet their place to claim. As much as the galaxy feared their newfound potential, there was an underlying belief that humanity was a species still on the edge of something much greater or much worse. In the aftermath of the destruction, Alara found herself pondering the true cost of her decision. Had she made the right choice? She had destroyed the Q-Terra weapon to prevent its catastrophic misuse, to save humanity from becoming like the Q-Terra, consumed by their own creations. But now, with the weapon gone, humanity's potential to truly reshape the galaxy was lost. She had traded the future for the present, and in doing so, had left humanity vulnerable to forces like the Ilthur Dominion forces that would not hesitate to exploit any weakness. Then, as if the universe was offering one final twist, an unexpected transmission broke through the usual channels. It was a cryptic message, not from any living race, but from the Q-Terra themselves, if such a thing could even be possible. The transmission was old, the language indecipherable at first, but as Alara and her team worked to decode it, the meaning became clear. The Q-Terra had left behind a message, not a warning, but a test. The weapon, it turned out, had never been meant to serve as a tool of war. It was never designed for any species to wield for dominance. Instead, it had been a test, a trial to see which civilization, given the opportunity, would be responsible enough to control it. The Q-Terra had known the weapon was dangerous. They had known that any race capable of wielding it would have to prove their worth, their ability to resist the temptation to use it recklessly. It wasn't about who could conquer the galaxy, it was about who could choose not to. And humanity, Alara realized, had passed the test. The revelation hit her like a cold gust of wind. Humanity had shown restraint. They had the potential to wield the power, but they had chosen not to. They had seen the weapon for what it truly was, a destructive force, and had rejected it. This choice, the ability to destroy and yet choose to walk away, was the very core of the test the Q-Terra had set. Humanity had shown that they could resist the urge to dominate, that they could recognize the cost of power and choose a different path. But Alara couldn't shake the lingering question that gnawed at her. What now? As the galaxy watched, the human race now stood at a crossroads. The High Galactic Council had begun to recognize their potential, but with deep reservations. Humanity had proven itself worthy of passing the Q-Terra's test, but the next steps were anything but clear. What would humanity do with this newfound knowledge? The galaxy's eyes were on them, waiting to see if they would rise to greatness or fall into the same traps the Q-Terra had. Alara thought back to the early days of her career, when she had first believed that humanity could, one day, change the galaxy. That dream seemed so far away now, clouded by the weight of her choices. The hope of wielding the Q-Terra technology was gone, but something else had emerged in its place. Humanity's true strength wasn't in their ability to wield destructive power, it was in their ability to choose not to. And yet, was that enough? Alara's gaze lingered on the stars outside her window, the galaxy stretching out before her. Humanity had proven itself capable of restraint, but was that enough to build a better future? The test, as the Q-Terra had said it, had been passed. But the real question was whether humanity could rise above their primitive instincts and build something truly great. Could they embrace wisdom over power, diplomacy over conquest, unity over division? The galaxy was at the brink of a new age, one where humanity's actions would shape the course of history. And as Alara stood at the precipice, she couldn't help but wonder, what kind of galaxy would humanity create? Would they be the architects of their future, or would they fall into the same traps that had destroyed the Q-Terra? Would they rise to greatness, or would they become just another chapter in the endless cycle of civilizations that had come before them? As she pondered this, the weight of the decision she had made, the burden of the choice that lay before humanity, pressed down upon her. The true test was only just beginning, and in the quiet of space, Alara finally understood. True power wasn't in the ability to destroy. True power was in the ability to choose. And now, humanity would have to choose wisely.